Hi, everyone. It is me, Sailor Uranus, Sailor Skyworld Amara here, and me, Sailor Neptune, Sailor SeaWorld Michelle here. And today we're going to talk about, is there gatekeeping in the Sailor Moon followership? I would say yes and no, but I would say most likely yes, because I have, dealt with the gatekeeping. Now, gatekeeping comes, in two ways. But I've dealt with it mostly, we had dealt with it here for liking the Deke and Cloverway Sailor Moon, or Pioneer Sailor Moon, or Path Seeker. So, anyway, the gatekeeping might be something like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. Go do some learning. Like if you say that in your belief there isn't any truth to. No, well, the truth of the gatekeeping came up when Ernest became Sailor Earth, and that's when it started. There'll be some folks out there, that take the whole only girls or only women can be sailor fighters so earnest. Yeah, play on the words. That they'll think, oh, you slighted Nako Takiguchi, or Takenshi, however you say her name. That did happen once. There was someone who was one of our followers in the past. And this may have happened, I guess, in 2010, or 2011, around that time, I guess, maybe even earlier. And, and she had liked, the Toei one. And that meant that, I couldn't say anything about, liking it or not liking it, and she'd be like, oh, you want me to unfollow you if I made a film she didn't like? So, yeah, it was gatekeeping, and the gatekeeping also offshooted to its biggest thing when Ernest P. Worrell became Sailor Earth, and that went against the only girls or only women can be sailor keepers, oversight that a lot of Sailor Moon followers say that Naoko Takiguchi said. And even if she did say it, I don't have to follow it. So she came up with this belief that it was a slight on Naoko Takenshi, which was never meant to be a slight on her or anyone. And that may have been the only time. But there tended to be other times where the gatekeeping happened. Yeah, you're right. You're right, Sailor Uranus, Sailor Skyworld, right, Amara. There was another time where the gatekeeping became a thing. Since we hear like the Deke Glee Sailor Moon and the Pioneer Glee Sailor Moon, or is that Pathseeker Glee Sailor Moon, and a lot of folks don't like it for sundriest grounds sake or why, and there'll be folks out there who like the Viz one, and great for them, but then they'll take names earnest, and so this mostly happened on Twitter, now known as X, so we'll just call it X now. Where someone said, stop saying those names, say the right names. Well, in the Deke Glee world and the Pioneer Glee world, or the Pathseeker Glee world, those are the right borrowed names, And if I want to call them by those Latinist, Frenchist, Spanish or Hebrewish, or, Farsiest or Hellenish, Blacklandish borrowed names, then I will. Those mostly being the names that English borrowed more from So anyway, yeah, that seems to be about right. And every once in a while, we'll make a film talking about or giving our thoughts on something. You know, like why like PGSM, the live Farseer show, was never put into any other speeches and never got a broadcast or streaming deal outside of Dawnland. And the gatekeeping will say, oh, well, they'll say, oh, well, you gotta do some learning before you start making up shit. Not making up shit, just making my guesses to why it never gotten any broadcast or streaming deal, why it was never put into the sundry speeches spoken around the world. Yeah, that's not making up shit. You know? And at the end of the day, some of the Sailor Moon followers are more welcoming than others. Some of them really want nothing to do with you, others do. So that's just how life is. But yeah, the gatekeeping is bullshit. You know? And that's the only time those are only times where, we go back to that before we end this film. You're right, Sailor Neptune, Sailor Fever, and Michelle. The only other time that the gatekeeping became a thing before we end the film is since we like the Deep Glee Sailor Moon, there was a lot of gatekeeping going around saying things like, you're not a true Sailor Moon follower if you like the Deep Glee Sailor Moon. Yeah, there was a lot of that going on too. Not as much as there once was, but there still is some. So, yeah. There is, or was, gatekeeping in the Sailor Moon followership. So tell me what you think about that. And if you want to watch the film we made yesterday with Sailor Jupiter King World or Sailor Venus, Sailor Hellworth World, then by all means watch it, and we'll see you later.